We're back at it again with a NXT review from February 25th, 2025. Man, this was a pretty decent episode of NXT. A lot of returns, like the Hardy Boys. That was good to see them make their comeback. We had a first ever appearance from Moose, the X Division champion. So we're going to go through all the matches. The first match we had was Stephanie Baker defending the North American Women's Championship against Carmen Petrovic. Now, Petrovic had Ashanti the Adonis in her corner. And, there's a steady pace to this match, some intensity. The crowd was pretty pumped for this matchup. I thought Carmen had a pretty good showing against Stephanie Baker. But ultimately, she picked up the win to retain the title. And then, Julia came out. They agreed to have a match to find out who the best champion is. So for NXT Roadblock, they're booking a double title match. Winner take all. I don't see that being a clean finish for Roadblock. I think there's going to be some shenanigans with that match. Someone will probably interfere and it'll be extended to Stand and Deliver. So I think that's too early to do that match, but that's probably the best match for the women's division at this point. I would have saved that for Stand and Deliver, but I guess we're going to do it within 2 weeks. So not a bad match with these two ladies. Next we get Moose versus Lexis King, and this was for the X Division Championship. And, Lexis King's Heritage Cup was not on the line, so he had nothing to lose. And so Moose looked very impressive in this match. I was also impressed with Lexis King. He's definitely talented in the ring. He can definitely go. But I think Lexis King was playing more the baby face in this match compared to Moose. Moose was more so playing the bad guy. And this is the first time that a TNA championship was defended in NXT on an episode of NXT. So Moose was able to show off all his agility with a springboard crossbody and his strength with a power bomb, but King found enough life to kick out. And then he took a huge spear to put him away for the pin. So that was a decent matchup. Obafemi, he showed up to confront Moose, and he challenges Moose, I think, for champion versus championship at Roadblock. I think he's putting his NXT title on the line against Moose. So I'm excited for that match. I'm definitely watching Roadblock to see that match. That's going to be one hard-hitting bout. And I expect Moose and Obafemi to completely, steal the show. I think their styles will definitely mesh very well. And so next, we get the Hardy Boys making their comeback. This is their first appearance in NXT. They take on NQCC. And this was a decent match, a decent showing for the Young Bucks here, for Taven Heights and Miles Bourne. Even though they lost this match, they definitely got the rub just by facing the Hardy Boys. And, this was a pretty fun and frantic match. That one spot, man, where Matt Hardy was kind of, on his knees. Jeff was at the top of the ramp. He runs through the ramp, stepping over Matt, I believe, and does that poetry in motion cross body or clothesline onto one of the, I think onto Taven or Miles, I think onto Miles. And just the spot, it looked very creative. It looked effective. It was also very creative too. I thought that was neat. Um, the Hardys get the win, but yeah, they defeat NQCC. Not a bad match. I'll give it a B minus. Um, the Hardy Boys, they got a pretty good reception when they came out. And then Santino Marella comes out and he books the Hardys versus Fraxium for NXT Roadblock. So it will be, I'm assuming it'll be tag team versus tag team title match. Both the X Division tag team titles, the TNA World Tag Team titles and the NXT tag team titles will be on the line. I'm not quite sure though. But next we get Lola Vice versus Ariana Grace. Now, I haven't really seen much of Ariana Grace in the ring. I don't think I've ever seen her wrestle. Lola Vice is pretty good. She has a good look. She's sexy as hell. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't as one-sided as, one would expect. Grace got in more offense than expected before Vice started taking her apart with her kicks. And then Lola picked up a short and easy win. But then her celebration was interrupted by the new group in NXT causing some mayhem backstage. So I'll probably give this match probably a C minus. Wasn't really that good. It was more like a squash match at best. And then, before that even happened, we saw Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez have a in-ring segment. And Jordynne Grace wants to face the best of the best in the NXT Women's Division. That's why she came to NXT, because she wants to compete with the best. And then, Roxanne came out talking some trash. And they're going to have a match in about 2 weeks, I think, at Roadblock. And yeah, that was that. I thought this was a decent back and forth with Roxanne and Jordynne. This will probably be her last match on NXT before she completely starts her main roster run. But I expect Jordynne Grace to run through everybody in the women's division and eventually become the NXT Women's Champion by the summer. I think, her trajectory is going to be pretty easy because she's a powerhouse and she looks physically imposing over the other women. And I think she's going to be a breakout star of NXT this year. So then we move on to, I guess, our main event, which is Ricky Saints, formerly known as Ricky Starks, and Javon Evans versus Wes Lee and Ethan Page. So this is our main event. Evans went after All Ego to get the match started. Ethan Page, he tagged out to Lee almost immediately. Then Saints tagged in and leveled Lee with a back elbow. And these two teams were evenly matched in a lot of ways. Evans and Lee were the quick high flyers, while Page and Saints were the more versatile technicians. So this was a fun encounter. It didn't really feel like the kind of special debut match someone like Saints should get coming into NXT. It's a tag team match. If this was a one-on-one match, I can assume he would have had a better showing, but regardless, he had a decent showing. He did pick up the win for his team by pinning Wes Lee with his finisher. I forgot what you call it, though, but it looked kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. It looked legit. And so, but I do got to say this. So Ricky Saints coming out for his entrance. He already looks like a star. He already has that natural charisma. So that's going to help him a lot in NXT and get over, you know. And Ricky Saints is a decent name, you know. It's not the best name, but it works for where he's at. Obviously, he cannot go with his former name, which I totally understand. But I can see Ricky Saints being, used pretty good. It's just a matter of time to see where he fits in the roster. But here's the thing, though. When it comes to NXT's males division, you need someone like a Ricky Saints to give it a boost. You need someone with a lot of charisma, someone who can work a main event style of match. Like, we need more main eventers, like future main eventers in NXT. And Ricky Saints will definitely be that. Because if you think about it, he already has the blessing of the Undertaker. Undertaker likes him. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes have good rapport with him from AEW. So the fact that he has a legend co-signing him, and then you got two of your top faces, your two of your top guys, and CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, they're already putting him over. So that should tell you a lot right there. Ricky Saints is going to do pretty good in NXT. And I think Shawn Michaels already sees the value in him. It's just a matter of how they're going to execute him in future storylines going forward. So, yeah, not a bad main event. Not a bad match debut for Ricky Saints. Overall, I would give this show, if I had to grade it, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. Was not the best episode of NXT. I think the Hardy Boys returning, Moose making his debut match in NXT, him having a good showing, and then, Ricky Saints making his debut. I think that really brought up the grade for NXT for this episode. If you took away those elements, you probably had to bring this grade down to like a 4 out of 10. So, and not just that, we're also seeing some character changes with Trick Williams. He might be going through a heel turn in the future, most likely the way he is being portrayed. Kind of this crash out character that's being tired of being disrespected, lost his NXT championship, lost to Eddie Thorpe. He's losing momentum. So you're starting to see a character shift in Trick Williams. So we're going to see where that goes. So not a bad episode of NXT. The women, I thought, put on a good performance with Stephanie Baker and what's her name? Carmen Petrovic. And that was not the best match. That was a decent match, right? I think the woman didn't have the best showing. But I enjoyed the back and forth exchange with Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez. So let me know what y'all think down in the comment section of this episode of NXT. Thank y'all for watching.